All right, we have some more breaking news from the NFL as the league continues to release notable games on the Philadelphia Eagles 2025 schedule ahead of Wednesday's official schedule release. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you, and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And obviously with the Birds looking ahead to their Super Bowl defense in 2025, there's a theme with all of these games. And on Monday, we got the news that the Eagles will be hosting the Dallas Cowboys in Week 1. It is the first time since 2000, the Pickle Juice game at the old Texas Stadium, when the Eagles dump truck Dallas, that the Birds and Cowboys will meet in a Week 1 opener. And the odds are already out for that game. Philadelphia, 6.5-point favorites. 46.5 is the total over-under, and what a flex for the Eagles, being able to raise that Super Bowl banner in primetime as the entire world is watching and as the Dallas Cowboys watch as well. That game will be taking place Thursday, September 4th, 8:20 p.m. Eastern, and of course, we'll be doing a watch party for that game. That's why you got to give us a subscribe. Thoughts on the Eagles going into this season and that Week 1 opener against Dallas? The Birds, of course, this is beautiful, the defending Super Bowl champions. And while we can still relish and celebrate what happened in 2024, it's really starting to become that time where our focus has to shift to the upcoming season. 2024 last year was a magical season, but 2025, it's time to flip that page here. And this is going to be a very tough slate for the Eagles. The biggest jump in difficulty of schedule year over year for Philadelphia among all teams in the National Football League. Of course, the Eagles losing a lot of marquee players on defense, so Vic Fangio is going to have some lineup changes that he's going to have to handle, but it is important to have that coaching continuity on the defensive side of the football. On the offensive side of the football, we cannot say the same thing. Kellen Moore, Eagles offensive coordinator from 2024, now the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And so Kevin Patullo, who's been around Nick Sirianni with the Eagles for the last couple of years since Sirianni came to the city of brotherly love. Kevin Patullo, who knows Sirianni dating back to their days with the Indianapolis Colts. He rises up the ranks to become the Eagles' new play caller and offensive coordinator. He's one of the most important members of this organization going into 2025. And while the Eagles have suffered a lot of losses on their roster, they still have one of the deepest, most talented, and still one of the youngest teams in the NFL. Thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys? Mike McCarthy's gone, not a head coach this year. So the Brian Schottenheimer era begins. The Cowboys last week just made that George Pickens trade, really good number 2, alongside CeeDee Lamb and another really good weapon if he can keep his head on straight for Dak Prescott. Big year coming up for Dak. Only played 8 games in 2024 after the Cowboys made him the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. Another looming question for Dallas and Jerry Jones. Will that Micah Parsons contract extension get done? Because it's going to be lucrative. And with the Cowboys, no NFC Championship game appearances since 1995. Their over-under for wins is 8.5. The over-under for Philadelphia, it's high, 11.5, coming off a 14-win 2024 season. And so on top of that Cowboys matchup, more breaking news that has trickled in from the NFL. And it's more primetime big game spots for the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles will take on the Green Bay Packers on the road on November 10th. This game will be on Monday Night Football. Some of my thoughts on the Packers. Of course, the Eagles went 2-0 against Green Bay last year. They started the season in Brazil with a very impressive win over a Packers team that I thought was going to be a factor in the NFC. And they were. And then in the wild card round, Green Bay made their way to Lincoln Financial Field. Eagles able to win that game 22-10. Got off to a slow start. It was a little bit clunky. One of the highlights, that Dallas Goedert angry run, which really got the momentum going for the Eagles. Their defensive performance was spectacular. They picked off Jordan Love 3 times. Notable offseason additions for Green Bay. They paid Aaron Banks, guard for the Niners formerly, $19 million per year. And in the draft, two picks that I like and two picks that I find to be very interesting because Green Bay last year, and still, they had a bunch of good to very good wide receivers. They didn't have a number one. And so they take Matthew Golden in the first round. Then they take Savion Williams out of TCU a little bit later, who's kind of a Debo Samuel Cordero Patterson clone. The Packers clearly thought, we need to get more explosive on the offensive side of the football. And I will say this, there's a lot of pressure on Matt LaFleur. He's won a lot of games, but no deep playoff runs, especially for a team that has a lot of talent. And so Eagles, Packers, really excited for this game. The Packers still one of the youngest and still one of the deepest teams in the NFL. And of course, the same can be said for the Eagles as well. Sorry to interrupt this great edition of Philadelphia Eagles Now, but I just want to send you a quick reminder to go on down, hit that subscribe button. You see it right below me. We're north of 120,000 subscribers right here on the channel. And if you want Eagles shows every single day that are informative, insightful, entertaining, thought-provoking, where you have a voice, lock us in right now. Another primetime game announced ahead of tomorrow's NFL schedule release. And you notice the theme here. Primetime games, major market teams, notable teams in some really big spots. On November 28th, the Eagles will be playing on Black Friday. That is the day after Thanksgiving, and they will play host to the Chicago Bears. The Bears, one of the more interesting teams in the NFL going into 2025. When I was at the NFL Combine, I had tweeted this out, but the jump from Matt Eberflus, one of the worst head coaches I've ever seen, to Ben Johnson, the most sought-after offensive coordinator in football over the last few years, is one of the biggest leaps from one head coach to another that I can remember. Ben Johnson comes to the Windy City with so much hype, and in being at the NFL Combine, just listening to him talk about his offensive philosophy, team-building strategy, how he's going to run things with Chicago, and the change in how smart he is and how he demands the room compared to Matt Eberflus at the NFL Combine 2 years ago, it is drastic. And so a huge splash hiring for Chicago. And I think Ben Johnson is going to lead to the Bears and that hiring just having a complete 360 on the offensive side of the football. The Bears also, and this is the Ben Johnson influence, you've seen the Ben Johnson influence with all of the moves that they made this offseason. They made multiple moves to improve the offensive line. We're talking multiple trades. The highlight one, a deal with the Kansas City Chiefs to bring in Joe Thuney because they realized Caleb Williams last year, behind a terrible offensive line, he was running for his life. He was under siege. Not good for a young quarterback. That can lead to injuries. That can lead to a lack of confidence. That can lead to a quarterback not being sure what they're seeing, their eyes directing down because they're always worried about that pressure instead of having the time and the opportunity to survey the field. And so the Bears needed to improve that offensive line. They did in a big, big way. Speaking of big year coming up for Caleb Williams. The future of the Bears really hinges on what type of quarterback Caleb Williams is going to become. Really like the Bears selection, getting bold and taking Colston Loveland, number 10 overall, the tight end out of Michigan, ahead of Tyler Warren. I like Warren better, but I like Loveland a lot. I thought those are the two top tight ends in the National Football League going into this draft with this draft class. Luther Burden, very intriguing selection in the second round. I think that he can kind of be that Amon-Ra St. Brown and thrive within that role for Ben Johnson, who was obviously the Lions offensive coordinator, and Amon-Ra able to have some career years, and that's why he's one of the highest paid wide receivers in the game. I think Chicago, too, a sneaky pick to win the NFC North. So often we see so many teams go from being bad to good, from worst to first. I think the Bears are going to make the playoffs in 2025. And given all of the intrigue around Chicago, young upstart team, hot new coordinator becomes the head coach in Ben Johnson, all of the hype around Caleb Williams, the plethora of moves that they've made to improve their club this offseason, going up against the defending Super Bowl champions who have their legacy etched in stone, who are here. They've arrived. They've already proven who they are. Can't wait for that game in Week 13, Friday, November 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern on Amazon Prime. And then there is going to be a Week 16 doubleheader. These ratings are going to be ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure this same day, there are college football playoff games happening on Saturday, December 20th. And so a huge day for the sport of football. But the Eagles will travel to the Washington Commanders in this Week 16 doubleheader on Fox. Huge get for that network. And then a great NFC North rivalry. The Green Bay Packers will be on the road to take on the Chicago Bears. The Commanders, another one of these upstart teams. Unlike Chicago last year they were actually good, right? And this is, of course, going to be a rematch of the NFC Championship game at the Link, where the Eagles put the beat down on the Commies. Final score, 55-23. Jaden Daniels, the sky is the limit for him. One of the top young overall players in the NFL. And you can make the argument he might be a top 5, top 10 quarterback already. Dual threat, really good passer, so dynamic, and came through in the clutch time and time again last year. The Commanders of note this offseason, trading for wide receiver Deebo Samuel. He'll be the number 2 alongside Terry McLaurin. The Commanders drafted Josh Connerly and Trey Amos in the first 2 rounds. They also traded for Laramie Tunsil. The Commanders made a lot of moves, getting better defensively, improving their offensive line, bringing in offensive firepower to catch up to the Philadelphia Eagles. And with that Tunsil trade, they realized we need to block that Philadelphia front. There was also a heavy defensive emphasis for the Commanders in free agency. And so to round out all of this, 4 primetime games in primetime spots announced for Philadelphia. Thursday, September 4th, Cowboys at Eagles to open up the 2025 season. Monday, November 10th, Eagles on the road to play the Green Bay Packers. Friday, November 28th, Bears travel to the Link in South Philly. Then Saturday, December 20th, Eagles on the road to take on the Commanders. And this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you are a worldwide brand, when you are a successful team, when you're a well-built team, when you have the best owner in the game, the best general manager, you have a loaded team full of marketable players, you become a massive primetime draw. And the NFL has really prioritized putting the Eagles in these spots. Number 4 media market, a fan base that is so passionate, a team that draws eyeballs either for fans or haters. And it's pretty cool to be in this spot. And it's an awesome time to be a Philadelphia Eagles fan right now. Got to celebrate it. If you're pumped up for the 2025 season, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and of course, as always, go Birds. Still a lot to get to here on the show, including a look at how difficult this schedule is going to be in looking at some analytics. But if you want to get an Eagles jersey ahead of the 2025 schedule getting underway, it's very easy. All you have to do is use that link down below, chatsports.com/Eagles jersey. That'll take you to Fanatics, and you can get all types of Eagles jerseys. Jahad Campbell, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, midnight green, black, white, Kelly green, men's, women's, kids, old school throwbacks, current and former players, all available. Just use that link down below at chatsports.com/Eagles jersey. We'll put that link down below in the show notes and attached to the pinned comment of today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. So as I've mentioned a couple of times, this is going to be a tough slate for the Eagles in 2025. That's what happens when you win a Super Bowl. That schedule the year after, as we knew with the gauntlet in 2023, it becomes very challenging. And the Eagles had the biggest jump in difficulty of schedule year over year from 2024 to 2025. There's also this. This is a look at the NFL strength of schedule from Warren Sharp of Sharp Football Analysis based on Vegas forecasted win totals. And you see the Eagles there, bottom right. That means that their schedule, one of the more harder schedules in the NFL. You know what's interesting? The New York Giants, they picked number 3 overall, And based on Vegas forecasted win totals, they have the hardest schedule among 32 teams in the NFL this upcoming season. The 5 easiest schedules in 2025. Easiest, San Francisco 49ers. I expect them to have a bounce back year. The New England Patriots also there. They drafted very early, taking Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU. The New Orleans Saints, a dumpster fire. 3rd easiest schedule. Atlanta Falcons coming in with the 4th easiest schedule. And the Buffalo Bills lucking out based upon Vegas win totals with the 5th easiest schedule in the NFL. The 5 hardest schedules coming up here in 2025. Giants have the hardest. After that, the Browns, the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Minnesota Vikings. Some news announced this morning. The Vikings playing 2 consecutive games in 2 different countries this upcoming season. That's going to be pretty hard. And then a refresher here before the NFL schedule release tomorrow on Wednesday, May 14th. Here's a look at the Eagles' home opponents. These teams will be traveling to the Lincoln South Philly. The divisional teams, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. We talked about the Bears already. The Lions will be coming to the Link. I hope it's late in the year because I want to see Jared Goff try to play in cold weather outside. The Denver Broncos, surprise team of the NFL last year, also coming to Philadelphia. So too are Pete Carroll's Las Vegas Raiders and the Los Angeles Rams, a rematch of the divisional round last year. That game coming down to the wire. The Eagles will go on the road to play their NFC East foes, the Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. We talked about that Packers game. They're going to go to maybe the hardest stadium to play in the NFL, Minnesota Vikings. Always so loud there with the Viking horn. They will go to Arrowhead, Super Bowl rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll travel across the country to SoFi to play the Los Angeles Chargers. They'll go up to New York to play the Bills. And then once again, they will play the Buccaneers as well. That team has been a thorn in the Eagles' side of late. So with that, I leave you with this. How many games will the Eagles win in 2025? I'll give you my record prediction after we know the final score, so beat me to it right now.